we are also familiar with the fact that the universe is expanding at an accelerated rate. So there seems to be a negative gravity effect pushing the galaxies apart, and so the universe is accelerating its expansion rather than decelerating. And that shows us that there is some substance which is called the dark energy that behaves like negative mass. It produces anti-gravity that pushes the matter in the universe to expand faster and faster over time. And of course, that's counterintuitive. But so if for example we turn the Earth into a negative mass of the same value, but just negative, so that it produces repulsive gravity, if we were to throw a tennis ball up in the air, it would move faster and faster away from the negative mass Earth until it reaches the speed of light. And that's amazing. Instead of it falling back, it would be driven away. And if it gets far enough, then the acceleration would cease. But if you imagine like an Earth and an anti-Earth, in other words, Earth and with a positive mass and another Earth with a negative mass next to it, the Earth would push the other negative mass, would pull it towards it because it has an attractive gravity. The negative mass Earth would push the Earth away from it. So what you will end up with is the two of them will move together and accelerate over time, because the Earth, the positive mass Earth, will feel a push and will pull together with it the other one. And if we were to live on Earth, we would not feel a huge acceleration. It will be of order 1g if the two objects are close to each other, and that's the acceleration we are used to on the surface of Earth. And by the way, if you accelerate at 1g, within 1 year you reach close to the speed of light. And then the acceleration will continue, and we will get very, very close to the speed of light, so that in principle we can traverse the entire universe in only 25 years or so in our rest frame, whereas the rest of the universe, continues to age much more by billions of years, while in our rest frame, simply because we are moving close to the speed of light, time will elapse much more slowly. So this is an amazing thing, that you can propel objects up to the speed of light, just by having the technology of producing a negative mass. And you don't need fuel for that. And the question is, can one construct such an object with a negative mass? I'm currently collaborating with a team of researchers called Applied Physics. We're trying to finish up a paper that discusses perhaps an opportunity to do that. The one concern that I have is, if there is a way of making a negative mass object and we manage to produce it, then there is also a path for creating a time machine, because one can show that, near a positive mass object, if you pass light, for example, then it's being delayed because time is ticking more slowly close to the positive mass, and so it takes more time relative to an observer far away. It takes more time for the light to reach the distant observer than without that positive mass. But now if you put a negative mass, you get, instead of a time delay, you get a time advance. And in principle, you can build a time machine if you bring this negative mass close to the speed of light and have some set of mirrors. One can arrange it so that a photon, a particle of light, will return to its starting point at a time that was before it was originally sent. And that's worrisome, because if you can make a time machine, it means that you can do something to your grandparents and how come you were born. Like, it's not obvious that nature allows that. So I'm a little bit concerned that maybe it's not possible to make a negative mass because of that. But I'm looking into it. With what we know about physics. And I think it's a very interesting subject to study.
A lot of people discuss these days that extraterrestrials could actually be time travelers. What do you make of that theory?
Well, we don't have a recipe for making a time machine, and Maybe they managed to do that in a way that's similar to what I described. We know that if you have access to negative mass or negative energy densities, you could build a time machine or something that bring you back in time, and also wormholes and all kinds of other things. But a lot of physicists think that it's not possible because it will create paradoxes in physics. If you were to go back in time, then the problem is not well defined, because usually in physics you have some initial conditions that you start from, and then you can evolve the system. But if the system can go back in time before the initial conditions, it will screw up the initial conditions, and then it will not be logically consistent, and that's a serious matter. And as of now, we don't have examples for working time machines, so it's not, it's not an issue. But maybe aliens figured it out. I mean, I have no idea.
You're becoming friends with some people that are pretty high up in the government. Have you had any confidential discussions with any of these representatives where they may have told you some information that you're maybe not allowed to say publicly that you know?
No, I don't know anything beyond the scientific work that I'm doing, which is not tied up with any non-disclosure agreements as of now.